Hi, and welcome to this Android discussion on multimedia. By multimedia, I mean the playing of audio and video files within Android. And there's a lot of APIs in Android to actually perform this function. Some of them are very low-level APIs, some are higher-level APIs. And in this video, we take a look at a couple of the higher-level APIs that are used to perform the playing of audio and video. So playing audio is typically accomplished, most easily accomplished actually, using the media player class. And we just instantiate a media player and then take it through its states. So the media player is a state machine. And certain methods of a media player will only work in certain states. So we kind of have to look at the states that are available in the media player class and make sure that we are following through in the correct way. Video can also be played using the media player, but it's usually simpler to use something called a media controller for this purpose, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. So media player for audio is a state machine. It has a life cycle, and as I already said, certain methods may only be called when it is in a certain state. Now, if you look at the documentation that is there on the media player at Android or at developer.android.com, you're going to see this picture. And this is a very confusing, at least initially, picture. So I have a simplification of this that I'm going to show you in the next slide. But basically, when we create a new media player, if we use new and just use the constructor for a media player, we're going to be in what's called the idle state. And we need to initialize and then prepare and then start the media player. We initialize it by giving it a file name that it's going to play. Then we prepare it, we call prepare on it, and then we start it. Now, once it's started, it can be paused and then restarted, paused, and then perhaps some sort of seek operation can happen on the file. We could seek to the beginning or maybe to the middle or some point in time in that file and then start it at that point. We could get to the playback completed state, which is here at the bottom, and then in the playback completed state we could seek to some point in the file and then perhaps restart it from that point, or when it's completed by default it'll be stopped. We could prepare it in an asynchronous fashion, in which case we're in the preparing state, and then there'll be a listener for the actual prepared state, and when that listener fires, we'll be in the prepared state, and so on and so forth. At any respect, we should always, when we're done playing audio using media player, or even video using media player, we should always release or call release, and that'll put this in this terminal state called end. But more importantly, what it'll do is release the resource so it can either be used by us to play another file, or in the case of the application coming to an end, closing, that resource will be freed. We could also get ourselves into an error state, and in that case we're in this errored condition, and we should then also remember to release so that we do finally get into this terminal end condition. Now, the source for this image is developer.android.com, and I apologize I can't make it bigger because it's stretched as tall as it will get, but I do have the link over here so that you can pause the video, turn your head sideways, and look at this actual link. But if you go to developer.android.com and look at the API guide for multimedia or media playback, you will find all of the resources you need to get all of the details on the state machine that is media player. Now, as I said, we can simplify this. If we're not going to perform many seek operations or things like that, we can simplify this by kind of a three-step process. If we use the no-arg constructor and using the new operator with media player, we must do three things. We must set up the file to play. We must call prepare on the media player object, and then we must call start on the media player object. Now there is a convenience method that puts us into the startable state, the prepared state, and it's called create. And if we use the create convenience method, as I show you in the demo for playing audio, we can just start the media player, because create expects a file name of the file to play. So if we use create, it puts us in the prepared state, and in the prepared state we can call start. So that's very much the simplest way, is to use this convenient method create. Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes we have to go through the steps, but other times we can just call the create convenience method and then just start the media player. Now, playing video in Android is actually quite a bit simpler, because usually we use a control called a video view, and that video view that's in our layout expects to be used in conjunction with something called a media controller object. So now the media controller is something we instantiate, and then once that video view is placed into the layout XML file, we create a new media controller, passing it the context of the activity that we're in. And then, which is, by the way, just what? This. Correct. Then we take that media controller object and use set media controller. We call set media controller to set it as the video view's media controller. Then we request focus on the video view, which I'll show you in the video demo. And then we call two methods. First, we call show on the media controller to put the media controller into a showable state inside the video view, and then we call start on the video view, and this will play the video. Now, the video view itself has methods to stop, to pause, but the media controller is the thing that has the methods to seek and do that kind of thing. So, once again, all of the information you need is here on the developer.android.com site. I've given you the basics in conjunction with this discussion video. I've given you the basics to get started, and also a couple of demos that you can reuse the code from. But the details, as always, are going to be found at developer.android.com. I would suggest that you start right here, and this is /guide topics media player.html. Start here with this media playback file, and then use the links and go through how to actually play audio and video files using media player, using media controller in Android. Thank you very much.